The long, arduous path to Motley Crue's 1994 self-titled album was littered with lineup changes, hurt feelings, bruised egos, and seismic shifts within the music industry. It didn't matter that the former glam metal titans had adopted a bold, heavy new sound to usher them into the next decade. Motley Crue was still doomed to fail. What are your thoughts on Motley Crue's self-titled record? Is it a hidden gem or better left forgotten? Let us know in the comments. In 1989, Motley Crue were kings of the Sunset Strip. The newly sober quartet earned its first #1 album that year with Dr. Feelgood, which sold 6 million copies, spawning hits such as Kickstart My Heart, Without You, and the hard-charging title track. But the good times wouldn't last long. Following a massive world tour and the release of 1991's Decade of Decadence hits compilation, Motley Crue parted ways with lead singer Vince Neil shortly after beginning work on their follow-up to Dr. Feelgood. In 1992, they replaced Neil with John Corabi, who had previously fronted the bands Angora and The Scream. At first, the lineup change appeared to be a success. Corabi's bluesy, gritty vocals and guitar playing skills added a new element to Motley Crue's sound, helping them to adapt to the grunge and alternative rock revolution of the early 90s. It was a pretty natural evolution when John came into Audition. Drummer Tommy Lee told MTV shortly after Motley Crue released their self-titled album.
You know, we were looking for a singer. He came in and like strapped on a guitar. You know, we were like, whoa, what's going on? You know, and we started jamming. He's like, you know, check out this riff. And it was just real natural for us to jump on the riff as a band and all jam together. And all of a sudden the sound got twice as fat and all these things just naturally started coming, so.
Unfortunately, the general public didn't share the band's excitement. Motley Crue debuted at number 7 on the Billboard 200 in March of 1994, but it quickly tumbled down the charts and barely limped to gold status, a far cry from the band's multi-platinum sales of the previous decade. The ensuing tour saw Motley Crue downsizing from sold-out arenas to half-full theaters. It was not a good look for a group that had recently signed a $25 million contract with Elektra Records. Part of the problem was that the musical landscape had drastically changed in the 5 years between Dr. Feelgood and Motley Crue. Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and Stone Temple Pilots all scored #1 albums in 1994, reflecting the rise of dour, riff-heavy grunge. But even though Motley Crue had tweaked their sound to fit the times, fans simply weren't willing to accept the band's evolution. Crue fans had come to expect glossy, hard rock party anthems about women, booze, and drugs, and they wanted more of that from the band's self-titled album. More importantly, they also wanted Neil back. But fans who didn't give Motley Crue's self-titled album a chance did themselves a major disservice. The record is full of muscular grooves, gnarled riffs, and tasty solos, and Corabi's bluesy howl fits the band's new sound like a glove. They sound invigorated on the walloping lead single Hooligan's Holiday, and the riff-heavy Hammered, while the 7-minute epic Misunderstood shows the breadth of Motley Crue's songwriting with Corabi at the helm. And fans of the group's old sound could still find plenty to love in the slinky Welcome to the Numb, the punchy Poison Apples, and the blistering stoner anthem, Smoke the Sky. Nevertheless, it wasn't enough to keep fans hooked or record executives happy. Tensions ran high as Motley Crue began recording their next album, and in 1996, the band fired Corabi and welcomed Neil back into the fold for 1997's Generation Swine. Today, Motley Crue's self-titled LP remains a cult classic and rightful favorite among some diehard fans. And while bassist Nikki Sixx has expressed his dissatisfaction with the album, the other band members have praised it. Guitarist Mick Mars told Eddie Trunk it was a really great album that represented a great step forward for us, a different style of music. Lee called it one of his favorite Crue records, and he boasted, sonically, the songs and the playing on that record is gnarly. We worked our asses off on that record. And what about Corabi, the protagonist and casualty of Motley Crue's most tumultuous period? I think that deep down, Tommy, Mick, and Nikki know that we made a great record together, the singer told Rock Revolt. Is it their best record? I'm not going to be the one to say that, but for that time period and time frame, I think we made something really special. Corabi has since performed the album in full on his solo tours, and he issued a challenge to critics of his tenure in Motley Crue, saying, "I dare any of them to do anything differently than I did." Find more from Motley Crue by clicking the link in this video's description, and make sure to subscribe to our UCR channel here on YouTube for all of the best news and history of classic rock and pop culture.